Jinho and Secretary Kim left Chairman Yoo's hospital room, and neither noticed the sliver of shadow that peeled away from Jinho's feet and slipped back inside before the door clicked shut. The lights turned off automatically. In the middle of the night, the shadow crawled out from under the bed and took the form of an ant soldier, which smacked its lips at the sight of the sleeping chairman, then got sucked back into the dark as Jinwoo activated Shadow Exchange. He materialized in its place. No cameras, 4 bodyguards outside. He turned off stealth. He'd given this careful thought. Chairman Yoo had offered a blank check and any favor within his power, not out of generosity, but because he was the sharpest businessman in Korea. A man who'd grown a family company into a Fortune 500, understood the value of a cure, and had simply made the best offer imaginable. That was fair, but not everyone was as fair, and desperation made people careless. There was no reason to introduce the Elixir of Life into the world as a source of conflict. Jinwoo wasn't naive enough to risk disaster for a friend's relative. The only real losers were the Eugene Construction shareholders, who'd sold the moment they heard about the hospitalization. Is this why they say the stock market is all or nothing? He grinned, removed one of his 5 bottles from inventory, propped up the chairman, and poured it drop by drop. The unconscious body swallowed it as if it knew this was its only chance. The color returned. The heartbeat grew steadier and stronger. There we go. He activated stealth and stepped out. The automatic door startled the guards. Then they looked past it and saw Chairman Yoo sitting up in bed. One sprinted for a doctor. The others rushed in. Jinwoo reached the elevator just as one of the guards who'd run for help stepped into it after him. The doors slid shut. Then, without anyone near the panel, the button for the ground floor lit up on its own, pressing inward with a soft mechanical click. The guard went very still. He looked at the button. He looked at the empty elevator around him. His hand moved toward the panel, stopped, pulled back. He had protocols for this. His protocols did not cover buttons pressed by no one. Oh, hell no. He jammed the door open button and squeezed out before it was fully wide. Jinwoo jabbed the close button. I'm sorry, sir. He checked Shadow Exchange on the way down. 1:54:11. The 11 seconds aside, 2 hours to kill. He couldn't go home. He could practically picture his mother's expression watching him walk in and out. He expanded his perception, found unclaimed gates nearby, and went to work. Jinhee, the chairman's eldest daughter, had just dropped her sedated mother at home and was heading back to the hospital. Someone rather familiar crossed her path in the lobby. She almost placed the face before he pulled his hood down and quickened his pace. She watched him go for a moment, then let it go. Unimportant. Her phone rang while she was waiting for the elevator. The hospital. She almost didn't pick up. We couldn't reach your mother. Chairman Yoo has... She listened, eyes going wide. A lie. It had to be. Are you sure? If I hadn't seen it myself, I wouldn't have believed it either. Please come as soon as you can. We're not sure when he'll fall back asleep. I'm already at the hospital. Ding. The doors opened right on time. She found her father turning to see who'd come. Not a pale reflection. Him, completely. She was in his arms before she'd stopped moving. The doctors were baffled. Blood pressure stable without medication. Every organ functioning properly. Vital signs resembling a man in his 20s. His primary physician stared at the charts as if they might change. I've been a doctor for 30 years, but this is the first time I've seen anything like this. This can only be explained as a miracle. Chairman Yoo's mind was already elsewhere. He asked for the security footage. The door had malfunctioned. That was the only anomaly. All 4 guards' testimonies matched precisely. Not even an insect could have entered his room. Secretary Kim confirmed that Hunter Sung had been in Japan at the time. Chairman Yoo accepted this, switched subjects without dwelling, and was back to business within minutes. Then Secretary Kim mentioned what the media was calling him. They're saying you're immortal, sir. Immortal. Not King Midas. Not Poker Face. Chairman Yoo turned the word over. He'd built an empire from nothing, survived every crash and rival. Now survived a terminal illness. He couldn't suppress his smile. I quite like it. Jinwoo tracked down the last of the giant's remains in Japan. 29 shadow soldiers lined up in front of him. He needed a captain. Who is the strongest among you? The giants warily looked at each other. Nobody volunteered. Beru, out of patience, let out a roar. Scrah! They shuddered. Beru had personally killed several of them. Following the scolding, one giant slowly raised his hand. Beru turned to Jinwoo and bowed. Jinwoo gave him a thumbs up. Then a second giant shot his hand up, expression conveying absolute conviction in his own superiority. Jinwoo laughed. They hadn't been stubborn. They genuinely hadn't known who was stronger. No, 22 and number 6, front and center. They traded blows until number 6 sent number 22 sprawling. Close but decisive. From now on, number 6 is the captain. The Shadow Army cheered. He pulled up his stats, everything pushing 300. Intelligence had cleared the mark a while back. The result of never missing a daily quest, the Giant XP, and the Seeker's defense gear set he'd finally bought from the system shop. He'd ignored equipment for too long, but he had no idea how powerful the monarchs and rulers were, and the King of Giants, weakened and chained, had nearly taken his breath away. If they came at full strength, he needed better armor. The Japanese government had arranged a 5-star suite, 4 million won a night. Furniture that looked purchased yesterday, a downtown view that justified every one. He stood at the window and sucked his teeth. I can't believe magic beasts almost decimated this beautiful city. He slept extremely well. The next morning, his association guide arrived and stopped cold. Hunter Sung, do you not have a change of clothes? Blood and perspiration were unavoidable when giants bled that much. Every outfit he'd brought was the same. The guide brightened. 10 minutes later, men paraded into the suite, carrying multiple sets of suits organized by size and color, prepared in advance, just in case. Jinwoo selected one, tried it on, checked the mirror. High-end thread made a noticeable difference. I think this is good. He couldn't help but smile. More than 100,000 people lined the roads to the airport. The guide mentioned that without ongoing cleanup work, even more would have come. He also relayed a request for a meeting with the Prime Minister. I don't want to waste my time on anything unnecessary. The guide stifled a laugh. Understood. Jinwoo stepped out of the car, and the air exploded in applause. He understood without language what these people were saying. He was about to keep walking when Beru spoke from his shadow. My king, these subjects are pledging their loyalty to you. It's not like that. You wave and acknowledge them, my king. I said, it's not like that. A thought stopped him. Hey, do the other ants like it when you do that? Of course, my king. The pride in Beru's voice was unmistakable. The ant could boost an army's morale with a single roar. The least Jinwoo could do was greet people who'd come to see him off. He turned back and raised his hand. The applause doubled. Whoa! Even his guide was clapping with wet eyes. He lowered his hand and walked inside. The clapping didn't stop until long after he'd disappeared. The next day, a Japanese columnist wrote, if the leader of the country was decided solely on their support from the people, Japan would have its first ever foreigner as Prime Minister. Christopher Reed woke in the middle of the night to silence. No matter how hard he concentrated, he couldn't hear anything. He grabbed a wine glass and hurled it down the hallway. The glass hit the floor and shattered, soundlessly. His skin went cold. He moved to the nightstand for his phone and the crumpled note the assistant director had left. If you ever need help, call this number. He'd kept it out of spite. Now Mrs. Selner's face flashed through his mind. 3 intruders. The blonde man in front spoke first in the language of magic beasts, then switched to fluent English, which stunned Chris more than the intrusion itself. As far as he knew, no person in the world could freely speak both. You won't get very far being gentle with the humans, O fragment of luminosity. What kind of bullshit are you yapping about? The blonde man put his finger to his lips. Shush! I wasn't talking to you. He pointed at the ceiling. I'm talking to the one connected to you. Up there. Chris had no idea what it meant, but he understood condescension perfectly. His eyes flashed red, and his entire body erupted into flames, growing to nearly 4 meters, sparks flying like a god of fire. I'm taking at least one of you bastards with me. He punched through the wall. The 2 figures behind it stepped back and studied his transformation with clinical interest. Is that an astral body? A human can have one? They were fascinated, which was somehow worse than fear. The floor bubbled and melted around him. He roared and shook the foundation of the house. it wasn't enough. On the flight to Korea, the attendant led Jinwoo to his seat in first class, and he stopped when he saw who was already there. "Are you going to insist this is just a coincidence?" "I'd prefer it, but I suppose that's too much to ask." Adam White bowed and smiled. Fluent Korean from blue eyes, Jinwoo was always briefly thrown. "We meet again, Mr. White." Two agents in black suits elsewhere in the cabin nodded when he glanced at them. He wondered idly why agents everywhere wore black suits, as if advertising their profession. Adam mentioned their first meeting. It was quite memorable. "My apologies. We never imagined a hunter immune to Mrs. Sellner's." Jinwoo waved it off. He'd heard the apology several times already. "Aren't we done negotiating?" Adam's smile slipped. "There's an urgent matter." He opened his laptop. Thick black smoke rising from a forest fire. Mana-powered flames that wouldn't extinguish. 1,800 firefighters and 14 high-rank mage hunters to contain it. A body at the center of the blast radius, a gaping hole where the heart should have been. Jinwoo had already guessed. Adam confirmed it. "Yes, it's Hunter Christopher Reed. A national-level hunter murdered." Adam produced photographs. Jinwoo grabbed his collar with ruler's authority before the agent registered movement, dragging him close enough to almost touch noses. The two agents surged up. Adam threw out his hand. "Don't do it." They stopped. "If this is a prank, you're not walking off this plane on your own feet." Jinwoo's eyes were flat and cold. "The creature came out of a dungeon. He might not be who you think he is." "A dungeon? His mana signature is that of a magic beast. He attacked one of our S-rank hunters unprovoked." Jinwoo looked down at the dropped photos, his father's face from a security camera still. Adam explained the rest. The explosion at the Hunter Command Center, the knocked-out hunter, the trail that vanished as if Jinwoo Sung had evaporated. The Hunter Command Center planned to distribute a wanted poster at the International Guild Conference. They'd come to Jinwoo first to protect the relationship, and because it would put him in a difficult position once it went public. Jinwoo released Adam's collar. The man's face was scarlet as he gasped. There was no hostility in his manner, the same instinct that had caught the King of Giants. Deception detected nothing from Adam. He needed to know the truth, and there was only one way. He called Jinho at Incheon. "I have to go to the US next week." "For the conference? I thought you said you weren't going." "Things have changed. Book me a ticket." "I'll book 2 round trips, boss." Back on the emptying plane, Adam was struggling to stand. He turned to his agents. "I want to make sure, did Hunter Sung move me without touching me?" They nodded. He raised his phone with a shaky hand. "Mr. Connor, I think I've found the 6th. The conference invitation list went public. Arjun Guild, Jinwoo Sung. The reaction was unanimous approval. His resume was inarguable. A TV network settled for Jongin Choi when they couldn't get Jinwoo. In prime time, Jongin answered every question without hesitation. The Hunter Command Center made the right call. Jinwoo's shadow soldiers counted as guild members. Arjun could stand against any guild in the world. He ended on something personal, voice dropping quiet. "My members and I only lived to see this day because of Hunter Sung." The studio went still. He received thunderous applause. After the interview, Jongin took a call from Director Joe, an A-rank gate permit, no competition from Arjun. He'd noticed Jinwoo's 4-day silence. He cleared 3 to 4 low-rank gates per day before his re-evaluation, raided gates on other people's turf as an S-rank, saved Japan alone. That's who Jinwoo Sung is. While one person smacks their lips over a free apple, another thinks about why it fell. He let Myungki work out the monkey part himself. What neither of them knew, Jinwoo was in Japan, using Shadow Exchange and the Japanese satellite's mana detection system to clear high-rank gates Japan's guilds couldn't handle. He'd told President Go his actual plan before leaving. Arjun Guild expanding territory to Japan. Japan's largest guilds were powerless after Jeju and the Giants. Arjun would fill the void. President Go had stopped arguing after that. He told the story to Jinchul now with undisguised pride. Meanwhile, Jinchul reported that Jigang Liu, China's 7-star hunter, had asked for publicly available information on Jinwoo after fighting one of the escaped giants. President Go smiled. The mighty recognizing the mighty, then decided, turn him down. The dungeons had changed. Jinwoo confirmed it in another high-rank gate, beasts clinging to the ceiling, acid dissolving the floor. 12 humanoid figures, white masks, slime bodies. He tested physical attacks by throwing Night Killer, a dagger he'd carried since early days that had been collecting dust since he acquired the Demon Monarch's daggers. The blade passed through the creature, stuck in the wall, and the black coating began eating the metal. The dagger lost its shape and dripped down the stone. Ruler's authority scattered them. They reformed perfectly. He watched while dodging and noticed one creature moving awkwardly, an arm not fully regenerating where he'd struck it, a crack in its mask. He drew the Demon Monarch's daggers and moved through the group, breaking every mask in seconds. The last shattered and the beast splashed to the ground. The problem was that this wasn't new. The day he killed the King of Giants, magic stones vanished from dungeons worldwide. Those minerals had absorbed most of each dungeon's mana. Without them, the beasts absorbed it instead. And every dungeon became more lethal almost overnight. A standard strike squad entering a gate like this one would take casualties before anyone realized physical attacks were useless, and more before they found the weakness. He'd ordered Beru to guard his home as a precaution. On the other hand, stronger beasts meant more experience. He smiled and sent his shadow army forward. Thomas Andre summoned Dongsu Huang. Do not lay a finger on Jinwoo Sung. Dongsu's eyes went to Laura, standing behind Thomas. She'd done her job. His tongue clicked. Thomas understood the situation. Dongsu's older brother had entered a dungeon with Jinwoo and never came out, along with all 8 of his squad members, while 2 survivors formed a guild. Of course he wanted answers. Thomas was one of only a handful of people who could threaten S-rank hunters without it being a bluff. Dongsu kept his mouth shut. Thomas suggested a vacation at the guild villa during the conference. Dongsu reluctantly nodded and left with a storm cloud over his head. Laura expressed skepticism. Thomas shook his head, disgruntled. Keep a close eye on him until Jinwoo leaves the US. Will he be okay with that? Thomas shrugged. Better frustrated than dead. At the airport, Germany's top hunter Lennart Nyman found twice the press coverage of any previous conference. His vice guildmaster explained. The Korean hunter was arriving today. Lennart straightened his clothes, walked toward Jinwoo's group, and stopped. His face went white. Don't you see them? See what? He saw them clearly. Hundreds of shadow soldiers folded into Jinwoo's shadow. 100, 200, 300, and still counting. He'd assumed the minions were summoned from a different dimension. He actually carried all of them everywhere. You'd think he was here to declare war on the US. The pressure emanating from Jinwoo's direction was identical to what Lennart felt standing next to Thomas Andre or Christopher Reed. National-level energy, unmistakable. As Jinwoo passed, Lennart reflexively looked down. His instincts refused to let him make eye contact. He simply didn't have the courage, almost as if looking directly would be acknowledging a predator. Once the group moved on, his vice-guildmaster asked if he was all right. Yeah, just a little surprised. He wiped sweat from his brow. For once, he envied the oblivious, the reporters, the vice-guildmaster, for not being able to sense what had just walked past them. Jinho noticed Jinwoo tilt his head curiously. Did you see someone you know, boss? No. Some foreigner kept staring at me. You've been all over the news. Probably wanted an autograph. Jinwoo grinned. The foreigner had seemed a bit too skilled for that. But whatever. Behind them, Jinchul Woo was scanning the terminal through sunglasses with the bearing of a man on a classified assignment. Jinho finally asked why he'd come along at all, considering his seniority. Jinchul turned the color of a tomato. I'm in charge of guarding Hunter Sung. He'd actually said it out loud. Jinho opened his mouth to ask who in the world needed to guard Hunter Sung, and Jinwoo put a hand on his shoulder and pointed with his chin toward the exit. Crisis averted. Adam White met them at the exit. He separated Jinwoo from the group, classified information, and Jinho stepped back without a fuss. In the car, Adam pressed a button and a transparent soundproof partition rose, the words soundproof blinking in hologram text. This is the latest technology. Don't you find it impressive? I see something similar to it every day, so? Adam rallied. He explained Christopher Reed's death, the vacuum it had created, and the Hunter Command Center's pressure to fill it. Then he produced photos of the Kamish raid, the The worst disaster in human history, 5 survivors who became the world's national-level hunters, the runestone extracted from the remains. We're looking for a new owner. Jinwoo looked at the earlier pictures instead. A pillar at the edge of one frame. Did the US preserve Kamish's corpse? Yes. Then I've been humoring you long enough. You can grant me this one request. Let's go there. Adam hesitated. The higher-ups had said by any means necessary. I'll need to get clearance. Will you wait? At the Hunter Command Center, the director and assistant director arrived at the same conclusion. Jinwoo wanted to turn Kamish into a shadow soldier. The assistant director's voice shook when he said it. He couldn't believe Jinwoo would even attempt to make the worst disaster in human history into a minion, but it made complete sense why the runestone hadn't interested him. The director was firm. No one person should wield that much power. They couldn't allow it. But then the assistant director mentioned the telekinesis report from Adam. The director leaped from his chair. Telekinesis was the Hunter Command Center's internal prerequisite for national-level classification, the only ability every established national-level hunter shared throughout history. If Jinwoo had demonstrated it, and Christopher Reed was gone, losing him to Korea would be catastrophic. The assistant director also noted that Jinwoo was someone you could still talk to in a crisis, not like Thomas or Jigang, who simply destroyed things. He'd saved Japan without making any demands. No 10 billion yen per day like Yuri Orlov. The director made up his mind. I'll take him myself. He looked at the assistant director. Haven't you ever wondered why this building has 20 underground levels? The elevator descended to the 24th floor. Military staff saluted in the corridors. A tightly sealed door opened and cold air touched Jinwoo's face. But it wasn't just cold. Mana. 8 years old, diminished but unmistakably there. His heart rate climbed immediately. Badump, badump! If residual magic power still clung to Kamish's body after all this time, how much would the shadow soldier possess? He tried to calm himself as he followed the director forward. Here we are. The lair was enormous and brightly lit, and there it was, Kamish, exactly as it had fallen when the national-level hunters stopped its rampage 8 years ago. Its imposing form stole the breath from the room. All the electricity in this building comes from Kamish's essence stone, the director said. There was quiet pride in his voice, the kind that had been there so long it no longer needed an audience. Every sealed door and climate-controlled vault 24 floors underground, all of it running on the residual energy of the creature that had nearly ended the country. 8 years of giving tours to generals and dignitaries, and every time he said those words he felt it. Not power, exactly, but stewardship. Kamish wasn't a trophy. Kamish was infrastructure. Jinwoo barely registered the words. He asked everyone to step back. Staff began objecting. National treasure, irreplaceable remains, until the director raised his voice. They retreated. Arise. Shadow extraction has failed. You have 2 attempts remaining. He stayed calm. On the surface, beneath it, something cold moved through him. He'd known the corpse was old, told himself the odds were against him. But knowing a thing and feeling the failed notification are different. What unsettled him was the line that followed. 2 attempts remaining, 1 chance already gone. If the next failed, 1 shot left at the most powerful shadow he'd ever tried to raise. He thought about the mana still radiating from 8-year-old remains. He thought about what it would mean to walk out of this room without it, and felt something tighten in his chest that wasn't quite doubt, but lived in the same neighborhood. He wasn't going to lose this one. He breathed. He steadied himself. He held the image of what could be, not a corpse on a lit floor, but a dragon rising from shadow, answering to his name. Arise. The ceiling lights flickered. A chill swept in from nowhere. Then a roar erupted from everywhere at once, impossible to locate, coming from the walls and floor and air simultaneously, and the staff slapped their hands over their ears. Kamish's shadow spread across the floor. Something rose from it, surrounded by black smoke, unmistakably shaped like a dragon. Ah! What is that? The staff retreated to the walls. Even the director and assistant director, who'd known what Jinwoo could do, found they couldn't quite breathe. The dragon paused. Its gaze lowered to the humans standing at its feet. Shadow Monarch, King of the Dead, is it you who has summoned me? Jinwoo looked up at his newest soldier, and his heart pounded with something that had no name yet.